Anil Ambani, distance, decline, and an invisible battle whose truth no one openly talks about. Imagine a man who was once among the world's top 10 richest people. A man whose companies could create a storm in the stock market. One statement from him could change the future of millions. But the same man is today being distanced from the very companies he built. His name is being removed from boards. His birthright identity, Reliance, is slowly being taken away from him. And at every step, there is an invisible fear, a silent pressure, as if someone behind the curtain is writing the whole story, but not letting the voice come out in the open. Is all this just the downfall of a businessman? Or is there a bigger game behind it? This story is not just about companies, debt, ED questioning, or SEBI notices. It is about a man who would have never imagined that one day he would be forced to distance himself from his own legacy. This is the story of Anil Ambani. Years ago, when only two names echoed in every Indian household, Mukesh and Anil. Who could have imagined that in the coming years, one brother would move towards becoming the richest man in the world, and the other would be forced to remove his own name from his own companies? This is not just fate's rise and fall. This is a full-scale corporate Mahabharat, which split the Ambani family into two, shook the market, and left millions of investors with heavy losses. The story begins from the moment 𝐮𝐻𝐽𝐼 Ambani passed away, leaving behind an empire that perhaps no one else in India's industrial history has ever built. Reliance was not just a company, it was an emotion, a middle-class dream. And when that dream was divided, it was not just a division of property. It was the creation of two different paths. One path went towards Mukesh Ambani's leadership, calm, strategic, and known for long-term vision. And the other path went to Anil Ambani, flamboyant, aggressive, and known for fast growth. The directions were different, and the real story begins from there. In the beginning, everything looked perfectly balanced. Anil Ambani got high-potential sectors like finance, telecom, infrastructure, and entertainment. 𝐼RCOM, Reliance Communications, was becoming one of the most talked-about telecom companies in India. The media was calling him India's new age business star. And then came the biggest shock in 2008, when the Reliance Power IPO happened. It was the biggest IPO in India's history, and it was oversubscribed 70 times. People were buying shares like crazy. At that time, Anil Ambani was even called the IPO king. It seemed as if both Mukesh and Anil would build their own empires and go far ahead in their respective worlds. But every empire has a moment when it begins to crumble. And for Anil Ambani, this moment arrived slowly, silently, and without noise. A small setback, then a bigger one, then an even bigger one. And soon a wave was created that started eating the entire ADAG group from the inside. 𝐼RCOM's debt was the first to buckle. Competition increased in the market, tariffs crashed, and in the telecom war, 𝐼RCOM couldn't stand against its rivals. Then came a series of wrong strategic decisions, expensive spectrum purchases, and a mountain of debt, which pushed the company toward bankruptcy proceedings. Gradually, the debt became so huge that even the banks panicked. Creditors took full control, and Anil Ambani had to step back. Then came the collapse of Reliance Capital. There was time when this company stood tall with a valuation of 70,000 crore in insurance, asset management, lending, everywhere. But debt consumed it as well. Investor trust shattered. News of defaults started coming out. And eventually, the entire group went into resolution under external control. For a businessman, what loss could be greater than this? After that, Reliance Infrastructure and Reliance Power were still standing, but there too, debt had brought them to their knees. Anil Ambani repeatedly said he would make these companies debt-free, show operational profits, and execute a turnaround. But the real battle was happening somewhere else. And this is where the most dangerous twist of the story appears, the tightening circle of investigation agencies. When the ED first summoned Anil Ambani for questioning, it wasn't just a notice. It was a signal that the story was much deeper. Allegations ranged from money laundering to violations of FEMA. It was claimed that there were undisclosed assets abroad. Questions were raised about the financial transactions of several companies. And when the ED issued a second summons in November, the matter became even more serious. Then came the statement from Reliance Infrastructure that shocked the entire market. Anil Ambani is not involved in the day-to-day management of the company. He was only a non-executive director, and he exited in 2022. On one side was the tightening grip of investigation agencies. On the other side, the companies were sending a clear message. We are separate. Our promoter is separate. His personal investigations have nothing to do with the company. Hearing this, the market understood that something very big was happening. Why is a company distancing itself from its own promoter? Why is this distancing being done so publicly? Why is it being emphasized that Anil Ambani has no operational control? The answer is simple: damage control. The companies wanted to make it clear that if any action is taken against the promoter, the company should not be affected, investors should not panic, and the stock should not crash. It was a kind of company versus promoter separation, something extremely rare in India's corporate history. Then came another shock: SEBI's orders. SEBI said that due to financial irregularities, Anil Ambani should stay out of company boards. This wasn't just an order, it was a reputational blow. A man who was once the biggest business icon today cannot even sit on the boards of his own companies. And as the pressure from ED, SEBI, and CBI increased, the distancing from the companies increased too. Meanwhile, the stock market also delivered its verdict. Reliance Infrastructure's share fell by 40%. Reliance Power dropped by 10%. The market said, "We are losing trust." This is not just a financial story, it is a psychological story. Investor psychology, corporate confidence, and public trust. When these three collapse, no empire can survive. And Anil Ambani's empire had collapsed. But is all this happening only because of business decisions? Absolutely not. Behind every major downfall, there are three layers. First layer, wrong business choices. Second layer, debt. Third layer, laws and investigations. All three layers exist in Anil Ambani's story. But there is also a fourth layer, one that is rarely visible, and often the most dangerous: strategic silence. His silence says a lot. Once a flamboyant personality, public announcements, massive plans, big promises. Today, the Sam Anil Ambani is seen avoiding every question, staying away from cameras, maintaining distance from his companies. This is not just fear, it is a sign of pressure. Invisible pressure, corporate pressure, investigative pressure, political pressure, maybe even family pressure. Hidden within this silence is another question. Is he being asked to distance himself not just from his companies, but from the entire corporate ecosystem? Many experts believe that the companies are slowly removing him from every legal and operational position to build a regulatory shield, so that if something happens tomorrow, the companies can say, "We are clean." The promoters' issues are personal. But is this distancing real or just for show? No one really knows. The real problem is that investors have lost trust. Whenever a company faces legal investigation, the biggest loss doesn't fall on the promoters, it falls on the investors. Their money gets stuck. Their dreams sink. The people who invested thousands of rupees in 2008, their shares are practically worthless today. That is the most painful part. The most emotional part of Anil Ambani's story is exactly this. Crores of Indian middle-class families were connected to his companies. Those people dreamed that Anil Ambani, just like his brother, would shape India's future. But things turned upside down. Fate flipped, and a downfall arrived, the kind rarely seen in India's corporate world. But is this the end? Or is this the beginning of a long preparation? They say that when people fall to the ground, they either break or silently begin preparing for a comeback. Anil Ambani's quiet face, his distancing, his low-profile appearances, are these signs of a comeback? Or is it just damage control? It is difficult to say. But one thing is clear, he now has only two paths left. Either he tries to revive his companies through operational stabilization and debt clearance, or he will slowly fade out from the entire business landscape.
If our video has taught you something new, do not forget to like and share this video so that this information can reach others as well. Your likes and shares are a source of inspiration for us. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let us know in the comments. It will be our honor to answer your questions and listen to suggestions. And yes, if you like our content, subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon so that you stay connected with every new story. Thank you. GRT Business YouTube channel sources: news from various news agencies, opinion polls and other public sources. We try to ensure that every report and summary is accurate and verified, but we are not responsible for any dispute or error. Our aim is only to provide you with accurate information.